So I would like to introduce Marisa Muragatroyd, and she has been my mentor for 4 years. And I want to share how I found her. And it was one of those emails, you know, someone promoting someone. And it was this, buy this course, how to create a course. I've seen them before. I heard it before. I have paid money, but I'm not going to pay money at all again for something that is going to be on the bookshelf. But then I wanted to learn, so I saw the videos and I just went on. And then when it came to the end, there was something there that made me think, how can I lose? There was this guarantee that if I didn't make money from the course I was going to create, she was going to pay me back. Okay, sounds like a good deal. But I was suspicious. So I think I texted to, forgot her name. Anyhow, I texted back and said, well, how much time do I need to put in? Because there must be, you know, something strange about this. And let's see. Very good. Yeah, I've been struggling with my voice. I've been sick last week. So anyhow, so no, it wasn't that too much of a deal. So I said, okay, I'm going to buy this. And I know that in the Facebook group, we were about 700 people. And normally that would have been a group where I felt invisible, not seen, not heard, but not this time. It was coaching every week. I had email support. I mean, it was amazing. And the course itself, it was like, you know, watching a Netflix series. I was waiting for the next release, and I was really eager to get going. It was so inspiring. That was the first time. And then I was thinking, if it's this much support in this program with so many people, I wonder how it would be to have her as my mentor. And I was trying to ask my coach a bit about, because I want to know the price range and stuff. And he didn't want to say it. So he said, well, no, I'm sure she's going to bring it up at the event. Yeah, sure. And it was a bit too much for me, what I had expected. But I went back and forth. And then I finally said, okay, be an adult here and make a stand for yourself. So I said, yes. So yeah, and it's my 4th year. So I'm not really sure how you're going to get rid of me.
We don't want to get rid of you because you're such a valuable part of our community.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So I was even afraid to ask you to come and be on the summit, because would you really want to be here with me? So I'm so happy that you said yes. Because I know what you are going to share is going to be so valuable, because every time you speak, it's gold that comes out of your mouth. So I'll take it away and, make these people happy.
Well, 100%. I think that, one of the things that you asked me to speak about specifically, because I know this is the 3rd day in a 3-day Energy of Success Summit, and I got to help name the summit. So I'm excited about being here. And so when you really look at this idea of what is the energy of success, because I think a lot of times people think success is the outcome, which is success is the money, it's the audience, it's the impact, it's the sales, it's all of this stuff, versus success being, about how you're being, right? And one of the things that I teach people is what I call a combination of inner momentum and outer momentum. And this is actually the momentum program that Eva Karen's been in for 4 years, because so many people talk about the strategies and the tactics and the techniques, but they don't realize that you could have all of that. But if you are not growing in parallel to what's happening in your business, you can't sustain that. So even if you gain, temporary success, you can't sustain it. So when you're able to really focus on both that outer momentum and that inner momentum, that combination of hustle and flow, of making things happen and letting things happen, of doing and of being, you can actually come into that more sustainable level of success. So one question I like to ask is, what comes first? Is it the millionaire or the millionaire mindset? Can you become a millionaire without having a mindset that allows you to expand into that level of abundance? And there's an interesting story. I had dinner at the French Laundry, which is this famous restaurant, with a group of, entrepreneurs. And one of them was part of a family of, I think, like multi millionaires. And the interesting thing about this family is they didn't believe in generational wealth, meaning they didn't pass wealth down from person to person. So each member of the family had to create their own wealth and their own abundance. However, they were raised with this millionaire mindset from an early age of what they could create in the world, and had a model of every single family, member of this family creating these sort of $1 million businesses in their family. So of course, Scott, who is one of the youngest kind of members of the family, grew up in this environment. He ended up creating a technology called the Happy, HAPBEE, which is a wearable kind of medical device that allows you to get the energies or the frequencies of certain substances, whether it's whiskey or it is just serotonin, whatever it happens to be. So you wear it and you can kind of feel some, energetic shifts. And of course, he's become a multi millionaire in the process. And this is an example of, he was just around that kind of mindset and that energy of success as a boy. And so he created that because that's what he knew. And because of that, it was very easy. And it's also why there's so many examples and TV shows of someone who's, a millionaire or even a billionaire. They strip them of everything that they've got, and then they've got to go and create, a successful business from scratch. And all of them, within a very short period of time, can recreate what it is that they built, because it wasn't just a set of circumstances or luck. It's that they had created a millionaire mindset that allowed them to, have this sort of template for kind of creating this kind of business anytime and anywhere they like. And because of that, they can operate without fear, because they've got the proof in every cell of their body, and then the knowingness that no matter what happens in the world, regardless of whether there's an inflation, regardless of whether there's a pandemic, whatever happens, that they've got what it takes inside of them to generate abundance. And so this is kind of what I wanted to talk about in terms of how do you create a business that feels like home? Because when I think about the energy of success, it's not something that you put on. And so many people, when they go into the world of business, feel like they have to do and be other than who they are in order to create success. Now, you do need to learn proven strategies and follow a proven, a methodology, and do things like sales and marketing, which may not feel comfortable. However, every single person is innately capable of sales and marketing because you've been experiencing it from the time that you were a child, and you have a lot of bad examples. And I think that's what leads people to be fearful of it. Or some of, what happens when you go to sell and market a product is that your own fear and doubt comes up. What if someone says no? That fear of rejection, that fear of failure, that fear of success, all of these things get put onto the process of sales and marketing, which is simply a tool. It's a process of transformation like anything else. So what I wanted to talk about, and I think Eva Karin's going to ask me questions, is what does it mean to build a business that feels like home? How can you be who you are in business and who you are in life, right? because you don't have to be different in business to be successful, but it's simply about leveling up who you're being in life, and that will level up who you're being in business. And so often it's about stripping away who you think you need to be in a business context in order to be taken seriously, in order to be credible, in order to be an expert, whatever it happens to be. And then when you actually show up in alignment with yourself, in alignment with your, I would say, core frequencies, since we're talking about the energy of success, everybody can feel it. It's when you have a speaker that speaks to you through the camera, through the screen. It's when you visit a site and you can feel an energetic that the site just feels like it draws you in. And so often people take themselves so much out of their business, so much out of their marketing, so much out of their offers in the attempts to be successful or make sales or please someone else that nobody even notices. Because the only way to stand out from the noise of, thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people who do what you do is to be more of who you are, not to be less or try to copy someone else's blueprint of success. So when it comes to building a business that feels like home, it's about really accepting and creating a business that allows you to both give and get what you want, right? And that starts with turning up the dial on your unique expression so you can be seen and heard in a really crowded market. And you can't do that by copying someone else. You can use proven templates, but the templates are there for you to express who you really are and what you really stand for, the problem you solve, the solution you deliver, the results that you get in the world for other people. So this is kind of the starting point for our conversation. And Eva Karin, I know as a student, you probably have some questions for me that will kind of bring this home and bring this together so we can speak specifically. And I wanted to show this because this is the momentum model, which is, a combination of outer momentum strategies of your message, your business model, the ways you make money through your offers and your marketing. You have to get all of these right. And there are proven, strategies for these. This forms your roadmap, but it's a combination of what I call road mapping and flow mapping, where you're going to find the greatest success and build that business that feels like home while also allowing you to achieve levels of success and abundance that you never thought possible. And so on this inner momentum strategies, you've got your mission, your mindset, your habits, your support, all of these things that fuel the outer momentum strategies so you can kind of keep going. You can sustain the level of success. So what I teach is that, when it comes to your flow map, it's not this one size fits all strategy. So many people are like, you're one funnel away from success. Well, you're not, because you might not even be designed to be able to build an effective funnel. That might not be your mode of creating wealth in the world. Like, that's great for the people who are more the mechanics and the optimizers and the people who love numbers and analytics and things like that. But this kind of passive income funnel is not great for a whole lot of people. So this is where, we really want to take into consideration your mission, vision, and goals. Like, what do you actually want from the business? I mean, we're told, oh, you got to want the $1 million business. You got to want the $100,000 business. You got to want the money while you sleep. But that might not be your vision for why you're going into business to begin with. So it's really important that you understand what you want. And when I say what you want, it's not just what you think you can have, but what it is that you really want. And also, what does enough look like to you? Because so many people get stuck in a hamster wheel of business because they feel like they have to grow and grow and grow and grow, where you could say, you know what, I want my enough business, that's going to provide for me, provide for my clients, not be too complex, not give me too big of a team, whatever that happens to be, to figure out what that looks like for you. And then to build a business that aligns with your vision and also your motivations for going into business. Because so often people end up building something that feels like a trap and a prison that doesn't actually give them what they want, right? And then they can't sustain it. Then it's also looking at your stage of business growth. So are you just beginning? Are you just building your first, like your first clients and your first offers? What you do is going to look very different than someone who already has $100,000 business or $1 million business. The challenge is that most people who are teaching business already have that $100,000 or $1 million business, including me. I'm getting close to an 8-figure business, a $10 million a year business, right? However, I teach in a way where we're teaching strategies to each stage and not assuming that everyone's at my stage and should do the things that I'm currently doing, right? And also, I'm not assuming that everyone's built and designed like me with my skills and my strengths and my desires. And so it's really important when you find the person who's saying, all you got to do is this to make money. I never trust them, because they don't know who I am, right? They don't know what else is going on in my business. They don't know if this is the right strategy for me. So this is about aligning not just what you're doing in business to your mission, vision, and goals, but also to your stage of business growth. You know, you got to do the right strategy at the right time for it to work. Then your unique pace. And this is different as you go through a life cycle. You know, I'm in my mid 40s, right? But if you're in your 70s, or if you're in your 30s, you might have a different pace, right? And that's 100% okay. So you don't want to try to force yourself into someone else's pace. And in addition to life cycle, you know, we like to assess our students, like really understand your design as an entrepreneur. And one of the assessments we use is the Kolbe. And on the Kolbe, there's, you know, a kind of mode of action called basically a quick start. How quickly you take action, how much information you need in order to take action. When you understand that, you may say, well, you're a slower action taker than some entrepreneurs. You need more information to get started. You need more structure to get started. Whatever that is, you want to accept that about yourself, right? So you're not working against yourself. You're working with yourself. That way you can find your flow. That's what flow mapping is about. Finding your flow, which is your path of least resistance and greatest reward. And then your strengths and challenges. You want to work with your strengths, right? Versus working against your challenges. So where possible, you want to choose business models. You want to choose marketing approaches that really work with the way that you, for example, communicate most effectively, or that you are in your zone, you are in your flow, you are in your element. And so many strategies might be working against you. So understanding that just because someone else is doing it or having success with it doesn't mean it's the best for you. And then finally, I talk about the momentum milestones, which is, you know, specific milestones in each of these inner and outer momentum strategies that you do at each stage of business growth. You know, knowing that in addition to all of these more subjective elements of really accepting your wants, your needs, desires, your design as an entrepreneur, that there are specific steps that you still need to take, even if those steps are custom to you and your strengths, in order to kind of gain and sustain momentum and have that success that you want. And when you work with yourself, your business starts to feel like home. You also define a message that's really based on what you really believe, what you really feel, and also what you're really here to give to the world in terms of value, you know, and kind of putting your stake in the ground of this is who I am and this is what I stand for, but getting that kind of message in a way that's not just an expression of who you are, but that actually is like oxygen to the people you serve. It's what they need when they need it, and finding that kind of balance of where you meet the market in a way that's authentic to you, and yet it's something that's needed and people are willing to pay for. So I know I'm talking about kind of big concepts and big ideas. So do you have any questions for me, Eva Karin, to kind of ground this?
Well, I'm thinking about talking about the millionaire mindset, whatever kind of mindset you want to have. How do you grow from where you are into a bigger mindset or more expansive mindset?
100%. Well, this is what, it doesn't all happen at once. You know, so often people are like, I want to have the $100,000 launch. And I'm like, has anyone given you any money before? No. Well, let's start with one person giving you more money. And for example, one of the milestones that we give our students is to always charge more than you feel comfortable charging, right? In the sense that, you know, elevate, like, can you provide someone $30,000 in value? Could you bring in $30,000 from one customer? And that's not about trying to extract the most amount of money possible from one person. It's about creating a level of value where $30,000 would feel like a great deal for someone. Does that make sense? Because it's a lot easier to make $30,000 with one customer than it is to make $30,000 with 60 customers, because you need to know a lot more people and be able to reach a lot more people to get 60 customers, right? And so even if you are relatively new, you could find a way to provide a huge amount of value. One of my students, Hicham Rifus, is based in Algeria, he'd been struggling to build a funnel for like something like 12 years. And he'd been following all of the internet marketing approaches, those one funnel away approaches, never made it work. And so I stripped him back to the foundations of let's just go talk to people, create a high value package. And in the space of 12 weeks, he brought in $750,000 with a $30,000 package. He sold it out. Now that was 20 years worth of salary in Algeria. So he did this in a country that's still considered the third world. And he said he felt almost embarrassed because it was so simple. And that all the things that he'd learning that made things so complicated were actually having him work against himself. And when we took it back to this foundation of value and, going to market in a simple way and then building from there, he was able to generate a lot more money versus trying to create this machine that generates like millions of dollars automatically. Right. So I think that part of the way you get to the millionaire mindset is through simple steps where you expand your capacity one step at a time. Like if you were to throw, one of you on our stage with thousands of people on it, you might freeze, right? Because you haven't had that experience of even speaking to a small group, much less a large group. So I always like to say, if I were to wave my magic wand today and instantly bring you 100 customers, could you deliver to them in a way where they would feel like they're getting incredible value and results? You probably don't have the systems and processes to deliver value to 100 people simultaneously. So it's about, be careful what you wish for. And it's not that you won't get to 100, but you get to 100 one customer at a time. Maybe it starts with 1 or 2 or 3 or 5, and then it's like 10, and then you serve 50, then you serve 100. So I think a lot of it is the incremental steps. But the problem is I meet people who are starting from scratch and you ask the financial goals and they want to say $1 million, right? The financial goal is $1 million. And in the next year, I'm like, it's probably not going to happen. You will get there, but to try to start with that is tricky.
I've seen that if you put your vision too far out, you don't have the emotional connection to it. So you don't know what to start with here and now.
Yeah. So I see someone's asking, what's an example of achieving inner momentum? So inner momentum is first and foremost about the alignment. So for example, being very clear on why you're doing what you're doing, which is the mission strategy, right? And I have techniques for kind of developing the different aspects of your mission, right? And then there's up-leveling your mindset. And there are very specific ways to go from fixed beliefs to growth beliefs, from kind of lower emotional intelligence to higher emotional intelligence, right? There's choosing, like whenever you work on your message, your business model, your marketing, all of these things, to actually choose in a way that supports what you really want. And that's a hard thing because we get into our head or we get into what's going to work, but making sure every step of the way that's aligning with what you really want, because you have to kind of meet the market where they're at, but you have to be careful that still is something that's going to be supportive of you. And at the same time, knowing that you can't always, like someone says you have to earn the right to pride and prejudice, meaning I've had people who have this off the deep end idea. It's not landing, they're not getting paid, and they're not willing to ship. So it's like that balance of alignment with meeting the market. And that can be a little bit tricky to get right. So let me grab one of my models here about the mission strategy. Yeah. So for example, this is I have frameworks for each of these inner and outer momentum strategies. And this is the mission heartbeat, which starts with understanding your 3 big whys, what I call your big selfish why, which is what's in it for you. And that's very hard for people who are kind of really mission driven, who are here to serve, the healers of the world. So my big selfish why is to wake up when I want, do what I want, where I want, with whom I want, for however long I want. And when all of a sudden, all these people are starting to infringe on my time and I'm getting hit left and right with requests, I start to be resentful. You know what I'm saying? So when I realize I try to structure my day where the first half of my day, I'm just focused on deep work where I'm creating, because I'm a big creator. I'm writing, I'm thinking, I'm producing something. When that happens, I'm much happier. Then there's the big altruistic why, right? This is what's in it for the world. What's that thing that's bigger than you, and ideally bigger than your fears and your doubts. So for example, my big altruistic why is to get people so excited about changing their lives that they stop dreaming and they start doing. Then there's the big intrinsic why, which is, this is great to, know what's in it for you and to have something bigger than you, but how do you want to feel every day in your business, right? So for me, I want to feel on purpose, alive, in the flow, doing my best work every single day. When I'm doing that, kind of it fuels all of that. If I'm just selfishly getting to do my thing, but I'm not feeling alive, on purpose, in the flow, it's not enough for me. It doesn't sustain me. The work becomes shallow. The work becomes empty. So for example, really tuning into this, not just once as an exercise that you do, but something that you come back to over and over again, and you make choices from that place, is really important. From there, you get into your kind of mission, vision, values, and the movement that you're building in the world. When you kind of define all of these pieces, it's what I call your mission heartbeat, because it gives your work not just more meaning to you, but it gives your work more depth to your potential customers, right? When you know that I'm committed to helping you live your message, is the name of my company. That's really kind of my movement, right? Is people who want to live their message. When you understand that, I'm here to get people so excited about changing their lives, they stop dreaming and start doing. You see, it's got depth beyond what I teach, which is helping people grow their business through online courses and programs and, all the different online tools, right? That a lot of people could say that, but not many people do it in the way that I do it. So this is an example of, achieving inner momentum when you've got that kind of alignment on these different levels where you're able to give and get what you want, right? And that's kind of saying getting what you want through your selfish why, through not just the what in terms of material stuff, but how you're feeling each day as you are operating within your business.
So what would you say is your biggest difference between how you work and most of the other business mentors?
Well, I think that the main thing is that I believe in order for you to succeed, that you need to find the path of least resistance and greatest reward for you, and that path looks different for everyone. And so I think the vast majority of business mentors are all about, okay, well, do this and you're going to be successful. Yes, but how does that line up to what you want to give and receive, for example? How does that line up to your mission? I could add something, but it's not super exciting. So for example, my husband Murray has a software that really aligns with what we're doing at Live Your Message. But as much as I think the software is incredible, I don't think I could work on the software every day. You know what I mean? It's more of the systems oriented thing. He doesn't like people as much as I do, right? So it makes sense for him to work on the technology, and I'm working on these business trainings and programs and events and things where I get to interact and see the response and see the transformation, So for example, I think that's really important to consider. So if I were just to tell everyone, build an online course, even when people come into my signature program, the Experience Product Master class, they're coming in because they think they want to create a course. But in module 1, I've got a whole session called Right Product, Right Market, Right Time. And I said, well, if you've never sold $1 in your life, you might want to consider using the same process to just offer like something, an MVP of what will become a course as a one-on-one offer, right? And that's helping to kind of match. I did sell the promise of a course. They can still create a course in there, but then being like, you know what? A lot of people have the desire to create a course that it might not be the right next step for them. So even if they sign up for the program, they're going to be able to get value. And I call it choose your own adventure business education. So allowing people to choose their own adventure, but that's not just you making the choice, but us supporting you and making choices that align with you, because I don't think anyone can sustain success if it's not aligned with who they are, especially in today's world. We're in a world where people need to be aligned, or they will sabotage, they will get sick, they will start acting out in different ways. We're in a world where alignment really matters, and not just for you personally, but you can tell when someone's aligned, right? And they're actually talking about their business. You can tell if they're passionate. You can tell if they believe in what they do. And that's, what allows people to have the confidence to buy from you.
something that I really like about how you teach is that, besides what you just said, but coming back to this, starting from with the foundation, because that was what I did when I signed up for something I could not afford. On the Monday after the event, and I was flying home on Monday night, I was sitting in my Airbnb instead of going to Los Angeles and experience that, to just reach out to people. And you have a special name for that. Can you talk
chatterboxing?
Yes.
Yes. So one of my most famous quotes is you can before you can make money while you sleep, you have to be able to make money while you're awake. And so everyone has this dream of passive income, just being on a beach somewhere, drinking a Mai Tai, being fanned by a Greek god, and all of a sudden money is just appearing in your bank account. But the truth is that before that happens, you got to be able to, like I said, sell one person, deliver incredible value to one person, turn one person into a raving fan. And so what I find is so often, especially when it comes to online business and online strategies, people somehow feel like because it's online, it allows you to shortcut the foundation. And then all of a sudden you can just start to have a funnel, while you sleep. And that's not the case. Just like any other business, you have to figure out what is your core value proposition in the world. How do you create value for people that's unique to you? And it doesn't always have to be unique to you, but how do you create value to people that they're going to want to pay for? And then ultimately, as you go, you start making it more unique to you. So there's a reason for them to come to you versus coming to someone else. But just starting by giving people what they want is a great place to start, that they're willing to pay money for. And then gradually you sort of fine tune and refine that so it becomes more and more unique to you, because as you do the work, you start to realize what's different about the way that you do it. So I think what happens, and this is why I teach the stages of business growth, and I'll show you another model. Let me just grab it really quick. I have to find a better way to organize these. All right. I have all of them, and they're just, finding the right one, because I have so many different models and things that I've created over the years to teach people, what I think are really important elements of business. Okay, here's a couple of them.
Meanwhile, you can look at my bookshelf behind me. All them.
Oh yeah, those are all binders from our accelerators.
Yes.
Okay, so this is what I call the stages of business growth. And when you get started, this is when you're making $0 to $29,000 a year. This is what I call the get started stage. And there's very specific things you should do with your message, your business model, your marketing, and your offers at this stage. That's going to look very different than the authority stage when you're making $1 million plus. Now, online, everyone wants to be this instant overnight authority. So they're doing strategies for $1 million businesses. It's why you can be doing all of this work over here, but you're not making any money. You're not gaining any traction. You're not seeing anything. Because until you're really clear on, for example, your message, you're not going to be able to scale that message to lots of people. So one of the things that I teach is that, for example, revenue equals volume times price. So when you're getting started, and see these correlate, the green is the get started stage, the orange is what I call the call me stage, and then the purple is that list build and authority stage. When you're getting started, you want to go for high prices with low volume. That's going to give you financial stability as quickly as possible. And that also allows you to test out value. You might be delivering it without a lot of traction, meaning you're delivering it one-on-one, which might not be where you want to end up, but it allows you to really get clear on your value, deliver value, gain testimonials. And then you can kind of go to, okay, can I start to leverage my time one to few? At that point, you can have higher volume and the pricing can go down. It doesn't have to. But it can, right, to make it more accessible. And then finally, you're like, okay, I can deliver value in groups. Can I now deliver value? And I have now over 1,000 people in my Experience Product Masterclass program who've all invested at least $2,500 to be there. They're all in it right now. That was almost a $3 million launch, right? Now I can deliver value, which is high volume. It's lower price point, $2,500, not super low, but it's a lower price point. So these are all ways to maximize revenue, but they're 3 different approaches. Now, almost everybody's teaching this one-to-many mass volume approach, right? Like sell a $7 tripwire, you hear, right? And then you're like, how many of those do you need to make $100,000? Like, and can you even reach that number of people? You have no list, you have no audience, you know, and yeah, well, do it with cold traffic. Well, even to get cold traffic to what's called liquidate, you know, which means break even, is really challenging, especially if you're not clear on the value proposition. You haven't tested it down here. You can't scale it here before you've tested it down here. There are a few examples, like software naturally is, you know, more scalable solution. However, you want to start with an MVP, or you risk investing hundreds of thousands or even millions of dollars building technology that people don't want because you haven't tested it with a few people, by getting into calls, by doing market research, by doing, what do they call that? Focus groups, you know? So no matter what, even if you're building something here, you need to take some steps in here. And so this is an example of, you know, creating from the foundation up. Even when I look at marketing, and I teach this marketing pyramid where you start at the bottom with connection-based marketing, you work your way to the top with what I call production-based marketing. This is where you can be everywhere. You can be making customers that you never meet, you never interact with, but you got to start by interacting with people, and you co-create your offers and your value in collaboration with them. Once you do this, you can start to scale up here. However, even when you're up here, I recommend going down here from time to time so you can continue to be in touch with your audience. You don't want to just stay up here. And so at each of these stages, there are different marketing campaigns and tactics that are going to work. But if you bypass the chatterboxing down here at the bottom stage, you're building on top of a foundation that may not exist. When you go to market, people may not want what you do. When you spend $10,000 on ads, you may make $0 back, right? So this is where you have to build in a very specific way in order to start to reach those higher and higher levels of success. Is this making sense?
Absolutely. And something else that I like about you is that you, over the 4 years, it has not been the same any year, because you're always improving. You're always looking at what is needed to make more people become successful, more students become successful. Yeah. And you have another quote, is that iterate your way to awesome.
Yes.
You can talk about that.
Yeah, let me grab the, I'm a really big fan of models, right? So this is my iterate your way to awesome cycle. And this is where you have an idea and you take action on the idea, which gives you clarity, which gives you momentum, which leads to better ideas or sharpening an existing idea that you then feel comfortable taking more action on. So you get more clarity and more momentum. But what most people do is they stay in what I call the stuck cycle, where you have an idea, you proceed to overanalyze that idea, which just makes you more and more confused. So you procrastinate and you never leave the idea stage. So the only way to get clarity is through taking action. It's not like you sit at home, you stare at that blank sheet of paper, you make your idea perfect, and then you take it to market. What most likely happens is you never get anywhere with it, because it's not even about the idea. It's how someone's going to receive the idea, whether they're going to invest in the idea, whether it's designed for them. So the fastest way is to just simply get into action, to get into this iterate your way to awesome cycle. Become what I call the scientist in the experiment lab of your business, to be willing to just do experiments, right? If you just do experiments every single month, you're going to find that you are testing ideas and thoughts and concepts really, really fast, and getting through what doesn't work quicker and getting to what does faster. So even with proven models, you have to experiment, because to find the way that that model applies to you. Does that make sense? Or whether that model applies to you. So that's where the experimentation comes. It doesn't mean that the strategy is flawed. It's that the strategy may not work for you, your audience, your message, all of these different things. So it's a matter of finding which ones do work for you that you feel like you can sustain over time. Yeah, so that is what I teach. And so often just people, it's like an ego desire to look good and to have it all right and to have all your ducks in a row and to be certain. But the truth is that you can't have any of that, because the only way to get to that clarity is through action. And I like to say that clarity is not a light switch. It's not like you flip it and all of a sudden you're clear. It's more on a dimmer, you know, where you can gradually get clearer, then you get less clear, then you get clearer, you get less clear. But the clarity usually comes when you're taking action. You have to like push that dimmer up in order to start to do that. So you're like taking action, which allows you to get clearer, but it's not this like light bulb moment. You might have a few of those along the ways, but it's not like, oh, I know, that's the thing that I've been missing, you know?
Yeah, I want to see if we have any questions from people that are here. And meanwhile, I would like to you to share some examples of people you worked with, you know, before and after.
With what specific, you know, why don't we start with you, Eva Karin, in terms of, because I've worked with thousands of students, so usually it's like the example in a particular scenario, but I know one of the challenges that you've had, and if you're okay with me speaking to it.
Absolutely.
Is making what you do tangible. So one of the things that I teach, especially is when understanding your niche, is how do you do it in relation to, this is Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Maslow was a famous psychologist. And the idea behind the hierarchy of needs is that if you don't have your physiological needs taken care of, the basic safety needs, you're not thinking about self-actualization and becoming an ascended master, right? If you are completely broke, some people are up here, but then it creates conflict, you know, those broke, you know, spiritual types, right? There's conflict created. So it's not that this is all 100% linear, that you have to have each base provided before you focus up here, but it just means that if there's a deficit down here, people are most likely, if they have a health problem, they're focused on their health problem, right? Makes sense? If they're feeling like a total outcast and their relationship or marriage is falling apart, you know, they're focused on that, you know? So what I always talk about is, can you bring that self-actualization, you know, desire that you've got for a transformation, for living your best life, or being in your highest potential? Can you bring it down the pyramid to focus on esteem, which is what people are achieving, or, you know, belonging and love, their relationships, or even just that survival? If you can, you're going to make it more relevant, you know? So one of the things that you did with your healing technique, and we named the technique together, the expansion method. And I remember lots of conversations to get to the expansion method, because we're like, so what do you really do? What's actually happening? You're like,
I do nothing.
Exactly right. So now I get that, because I don't feel like I'm doing anything, you know, when I'm coaching someone or supporting them. So we talked and we talked and we talked. So part of this is, how do we make this, you know, first of all, tangible for somebody else? You can't say that you're not doing anything. You know, you can't make it feel like, well, you know, I just focus and you're healed, right? You know what I mean? And there's a truth to that, but that's not what allows someone else to say yes to you. You have to make that transformation visible. And for a case like Eva Karin, you might need to do it through metaphor, for example, by comparing, you know, what you do to something else that someone can know. When something feels more intangible, you've got to make it concrete. You got to make it real. You got to make it tangible. So, you know, I know we're still working on this. This is probably going to be one of your life lessons, you know, which is, sometimes we have those as entrepreneurs, is the, you know, to always ground and be specific, but you've gotten a lot better, right?
I have, yeah.
So you want to talk about how you also, I mean, we're originally doing this primarily as just like one-on-one, you'd help people, but then turning that into packages, and now a certification program too, to teach other people how to integrate this methodology into their coaching or healing practices. So talk a little bit about your journey of, and also you're now in the, you know, 6-figure plus business range where you weren't before, and you've been able to sustain and be consistent with your revenue. I mean, those are some of the things that I've seen, but I can't even imagine you doing a summit like this, you know, however many years ago, right? Either. But let's talk more about where you feel like you were before and after.
Mm-hmm. Well, as I said, when I made a choice to say yes to go into the first year, I felt I had to be like an adult, to take a stand for myself and make a decision, not, and I wouldn't have described me like that before, but looking back, I could say I tried to do business, and I was, you know, it was working, but it was not the way I wanted it. And stepping into it first, I also want to say that I've spoken to other business mentors before, and they said that, well, you can't make a business out of a method. You have to create a program, a course around it. It's like, well, okay, so how did I do that? But I never got the answer. And I was fiddling with sales and marketing because I've done bits of that while I was learning it. But it was never in my heart and it didn't work so well. So then I asked you, well, I actually want to do this. I want to teach this method. And you said, okay, we can do that. I said, really? So then I started to pivot into that and let go of the sales and marketing that where I even didn't want to be. And it has really been a step-by-step process and iterating for me as well. And even changing the way I deliver it, and also based on who I am. So I tried several ways. It was from a weekend to a whole year, back to 10 weeks. And now I deliver the foundation in one day. And that brings it more accessible to people. But then for those who want to continue, they do the certification training. And that is a longer period. And then from that, the teacher training. And that has developed over time where I have grown. And much of the accelerators, the workshops, the 3-day workshops you do, it's like, it's helping me both to build my business, but also helping to build me inside of me. And I remember, I don't know what accelerator it was, but it could have been September last year or something. I suddenly felt that
Become the CEO of your business was the name of that September last year accelerator.
Yeah, because I could really feel that the vision I had, not told anyone about because it felt too big. I suddenly could feel that it is possible for me. It was like a truth landing in me for that. And I mean, I'm far away from it, but I could feel it for a moment. I could feel it was true. And that was a really big shift for me.
That's amazing. Yeah. And I think that's kind of what I said about your business feeling like home. It's like when you feel it in every cell of your body. Like I have no problems, offering programs at the $15,000 to $25,000 level. I can feel in every cell of my body I'm providing incredible value. Now, one of the things that I want you to notice that Eva Karin said is that she tried to deliver this in lots of different ways. Now, we could say, there are all these different ways to do it, but she still had to find the format that worked best for her. You know what I'm saying? So all of these are viable formats for different people in different situations. And this is where some of that experimentation comes in. So even when you have a mentor, even when you have a roadmap, and then trying to figure out where does your roadmap intersect with your flow map, you've got to take the action to get the clarity. And that also comes with sometimes missteps. But I always like to say is that we did this at an accelerator, I think 3 or 6 months ago, that failure is a gift, and when you see that inside of every failure, you learn a valuable lesson that gets you closer to exponential success. And so I actually produced these coins, and I think it's actually on my desk here. Let me see, I've got one of them. Yeah. That say the gift of failure. And this is we gave to all of our students, either the gift of failure. I have to bend down. Let me see. Here it goes. Can you read it? There it goes. Gift of failure.
Now you can see it. Yeah.
Exponential success. And the idea is that no matter what happens, even if it feels like you're flipping a coin, you cannot control the outcome. You can only control your intention and your action and your effort. So the outcome may land on the gift of failure. It may land on exponential success. Does that make sense? But however it lands, you're either going to get a gift or that brings you closer to exponential success, or you're going to get the beginning of what could be exponential success. And none of these is a lose. So no matter where the coin lands, as long as you're taking action, you're going to receive a gift, or you're going to get onto that hockey stick of exponential success. And I know you've had some fails along the way, but each fail got you closer to really figuring out what you're really here to do.
Yeah. And that has actually been the theme for the whole summit. how to embrace their so-called success with the obstacles and how it is a gift. That's been brought up over and over again. So totally, absolutely. So hasn't this been amazing, folks? It's like I said, it's gold when you open your mouth. And I've asked you actually to offer something that I stand by 100%. And I really, if you feel like it, I would like you to say yes to this. Can you share a bit about what it is?
Yeah, well, Eva Karin specifically asked me to invite you to our annual Live Your Message live event, which happens in March each year, and we're doing it live online. And the idea is that you can zoom in feeling unclear, overwhelmed, frustrated, and zoom out with your entire business on one sheet of paper, where all of these foundational models, I actually teach all of these. There's a session on pretty much, each of the ones that are original to me, right? Whether it's the 6 levels of support or the stages of business growth or the marketing pyramid. So you have that foundation that you can build on, where you can strip away everything that you think you need to do to build your business and find what is really going to serve you at this stage of your business growth, and also based on who you are as a person. So I give you the foundation of road mapping and flow mapping at this event that I do once a year. And last year we had almost 2,000 people buy tickets from over a third of the countries on earth. And so it's really a powerful, 3 days where you walk away with more clarity and a shorter to-do list than when you arrived. And you finally can see why you may have been struggling or why what you've done hasn't worked so far. And what I help you do is find, whenever people ask me questions like, but how do I do that? I'm not going to just teach you how, I'm going to teach you how to find your how, which is the how that's going to work for you. And I do this once a year, and it's coming up in March. And because Eva Karin is a momentum student, she gets to invite as many people as she wants at the lowest ticket rate possible, lower than what is available to the public. And so you can get this full 3-day event for $147 by going to liveyourmessage.com/Eva Karin. That's liveyourmessage.com/Eva Karin. And Eva Karin, how many times have you been to this event? It's the 11th year I'm doing it. And
I've missed 2 live and 2 online, I think.
So how many have you been?
4.
You've been to
4. Yeah.
Okay, great.
So I've been to Los Angeles twice and
online twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she's been 4 times. So why would you want to go to this event 4 times? You want to speak to that?
Well,
oh, and also when you register, if it says who refer, like you'll see who invited you. If you see a field that says that, just say Eva Karin. If not, we can track it with this link too. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, well, because it's inspiring, and it's always good to go back to the foundation and look at it again. I mean, yeah. I get something new out of it every time.
100%. Yeah, I actually teach all 4 inner momentum strategies and all 4 outer momentum strategies, and the model I developed to teach each one of them. So it really is that core foundation. And so people find it massively clarifying, like they walk away knowing what to do, what to stop doing, and having a clearer sense of their message and what they're all about in their business too. And we've had, I think at least 6,000 people, 7,000 people over the years come through this event because it's so powerful and so transformational. And I love being able to give people the gift of clarity. I always say, if I could give people one thing, what would it be? I mean, I think it's 2. It's 1 is clarity, and then 2 is momentum. Get clear, get into action, and then feel that sense of unstoppable momentum, which I define as a state of unlimited possibility grounded in real world action. Yeah, so hopefully some of you will come and join us, and I'm sure Eva Karin will be there again. And I'd love to be able to support you and kind of finding that moment where your business feels like home, where you feel like it's under control, where you see the pathway laid out as well.
Yeah, I will be there. And I'm looking forward to our next accelerator coming up the first week of December. So that is on my radar.
100%. And by the way, this link goes to a private invite page that's not publicly available. It's only when you're invited to someone who already has a ticket to the event that you can get there. Okay. So I just want you to know that.
Is it any last day of booking, someone says?
So when is the last day to book? Is that what she means?
Yes.
Well, I just recommend booking as soon as possible for two reasons. One is that you lock that into your calendar and you make sure you have that time and space, because what happens is people start getting booked and making other plans, and then they can't attend, they can't be there for the full 3 days. And two, we're actually going into Black Friday. So I will be giving everyone who signs up our Black Friday package too, which is actually something like $2,000 worth of goodies. So basically, and it includes 3 other sessions. One is low-hanging fruit, which is making money fast. It's like 18 low-hanging fruit marketing strategies. I'm going to give you my niche down profits up training, which is valued at $500 to really figure out what is that core kind of niche or focus of what you do that will just bring your work into total alignment. And I'm also going to give you a series of my $1 million mindset trainings. So those are some of what we talked about, that $1 million mindset. I'm going to give you 6 $1 million mindset experience sessions. So you can kind of up level your beliefs. You can find that fuel. You can overcome money blocks, all of those sorts of things. So on top of your ticket, which comes with a $100 box of goodies that I actually send to your doorstep anywhere in the world, you're going to get those 3 bonus trainings as well. So I would sign up now, because that, is a very limited time offer, and go grab it. Go grab your ticket, and I'll also tag you for the Black Friday bonus package.
Wow, that was an amazing gift. Thank you, thank you,
Yes.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Thank you so much for ending this summit on a high. It was super good, as always. And
Am I the last person?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I would love to hear, like, what are some of the core takeaways of what does the energy of success look like?
You mean from what the takeaways from the speakers, or?
Yes, let's kind of bring it together for people.
So the first day we had 4 speakers, and one from Momentum, Marisa was here. So it was so powerful to hear everyone's different way of energy, and how to raise the energy and why it's important. And everyone, what's the website? Didn't you get
It's okay.
it?
I got it. Oh, I see. Let's see. There we go. Oops. I can't actually paste everybody else. Sorry. There you go.
So that was amazing, and really powerful women that have different life experiences sharing from their wisdom. And it's like the common theme through all has been this, to embrace the challenges, and the obstacles and the fears and everything are gifts. And everyone said it in different ways. The second day we had 4 speakers talking about sharing their journey. And we had another Momentum student, Sonia Ovenden. They're sharing amazing story. And it was also good to see how they had struggled and how they have moved forward, iterating their way to awesome, to share those life stories and wisdom. And today we were more practical, like more specific, like someone talking about sales, but in a totally different way. And I was amazed, because when I saw her the last time, she was a totally different person. Now she had really embraced her authenticity in a totally different way, but still works with sales training. And Isabel talked about how to write a book and channel, so the wisdom comes from inside. And I think that sums up this summit, that you start with the inside, you start with what's going, your inner state, what's going on, and see the world and people around you as mirrors to find out more about who you are. And from that, you create awareness, and then you can recreate into something new from that, and then you take action. So you said the same thing as almost everyone else, but in your way.
Awesome. Yeah. It's like that I say the inner, the outer, the yin and the yang, the hustle and the flow, the making it happen, the letting it happen, the doing and the being, and bring those two together.
Yeah, it's life. And this is how it is. We
Yes.
cannot neglect that.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. I'm super, super stoked to be your final speaker. And I hope to see many of you at Live Your Message Live. Just go to liveyourmessage.com/Eva Karin. And I'd say just sign up while you remember, because the truth is you probably won't remember later on. All right. And look forward to seeing you there.
Yeah. And thank you so much, Marisa, for being here. I know that you are, you don't have too much spare time working on the EPM and the accelerator and lots of other stuff, I'm sure. So thank you so much for this.
You're welcome.
Wonderful.
Well, I so appreciate you and supporting you on your journey. And I feel a little bit part of this because I know we brainstormed this for a while, right?
In August, we did.
100%. All right. Well,